Hey folks, Jodox here with a little showcase of the Armorstacker character. I've been playing in 3.23 Affliction League to farm these T17 Valdo maps that were newly released this patch. I'm just gonna pop one in. I've chosen three here that I think is gonna be a good showcase for the character. So we'll go with the easiest one first. This one I kind of picked to showcase that the main weakness that I think most people associate with armor stackers is that they're weak to degens, and that like any type of degen is just gonna like make them fall over right away. And while like depending on the configuration that can be true, with my current setup that's for the most part not the case, as I have a healthy amount of degen, 5,000 or so in fact. So I'm actually able to negate degens quite well. And so this map actually has cyber storms in it. So I just need to show that the regen is quite good for this build, as I can kind of stand in cyber storms whenever I find one. Oh, here's one. So I can kind of like stand in these cyber storms if the game stops pushing me away. I'm just gonna walk into the cyber storm, and I can pretty much stand in these storms. I guess indefinitely. So the 5,000 regen pretty much covers it, and you'll see it's ticking down a little bit. But every 4 seconds, I get the burst regen goes to like 14k. So by that time, it'll go back up. So it's like a very slow tick down, and then whenever that burst regen happens, it just goes back up to full. So the regen is quite good. Stuff like Shaper Beams, it's like mostly fine unless it's like a Ghosted Shaper Beam, in which case it does more damage. And in that case, it's still probably fine. It's just when you're tanking a Ghosted Shaper Beam, that pretty much does like 5,000 damage a second, so that fully negates your regen. And if you're getting hit by anything else during that time, then that's when you're going to be starting to die. But it'll give you sufficient time to like move out of the Shaper Beam, because like even though you can tank the Shaper Beam, you don't necessarily want to all the time, especially if there's like other stuff hitting you in the meantime. So anyways, it's kind of all I wanted to showcase in this map, so we're just gonna quickly finish it and then hop on to the next map, which is like actually a hard map. Just gonna have to look for all the rare mobs, so these new T17 Valdo maps. The requirement for collecting the reward statism is that, well, I guess there are no more rare mobs left on the map. But you have to kill every single rare and unique mob, as well as at least 90% of the total mobs in the map to be able to collect the reward. So the next map is Ghostbind. It's probably one of the hardest non-void maps currently in the game, and that's because of two mods in combination. The first is area becomes increasingly lethal. That's the bottom mod you see there, and what that does is every about 2 seconds that you spend in the map, your character is going to gain a stack of lethality, and what lethality does is for every stack of lethality you have, your character takes more damage. It doesn't say in-game on the tooltip how much that percentage is, but I'm assuming it's 1% per stack. So just for example, if you spend a minute in there, that's 60 seconds. That's 60 seconds divided by 230 stacks of lethality, you're taking 30% more damage. And then the second mod that in combination with that makes it extremely dangerous is this: players deal 10% less damage per equipped item mod. That's right above it. And that means that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of equipment, which means that's 10 times 10, 100% less damage. I'm going to do no damage. So I have to take off at least one piece of gear. So I'm going to take off my amulet here. So now I have only 9 pieces of equipment on. I'm doing 90% less damage. And by taking off the amulet itself is giving me some amount of damage. In my example, it's about 30% damage. So you can say that that mod is actually 93% less damage. And when you're doing 93% less damage, it's going to take you a lot longer to kill stuff in the map, and then you're going to get more and more stacks of lethality because it's going to take you longer and longer to kill stuff. Well, not longer and longer, but you don't lose damage, it's just you lose a lot of it right away. Alright, so going into the map, at Ziri, the Fjord spawned right away, and I wasn't expecting that, but just gonna try to kill at Ziri here real quick, and then I'll be more free to talk a bit more, because at Ziri does make me a little bit nervous in these maps, simply because the double flame blast from her can kill me. My character is not configured at the current moment to be able to tank the double flame blast, even in her unbuffed form, so she's not ghosted, she doesn't have delirious or anything, and as you see, we got her right at the beginning of the map, so we didn't even have any lethality stacks at all. I'm still not able to tank a double flame blast from Atziri, and that's because the current configuration of the character is heavily skewed towards damage, and so there's a lot of concessions that had to be made. So one of them is that I'm not able to tank Atziri's double flame blast, which this build can in a configuration that is more defense oriented, but at the current moment that's not the case for my character, so I really wanted to kill her quickly there. But anyways, after the Fjord is dead, the rest of the map is pretty much free. And anyways, since I wasn't expecting the Fjord right at the beginning there, it's kind of a little bit lucky and a little bit unlucky for the Fjord being right at the entrance. Because as I said, you do want to find the Fjord quite quickly before you get too many stacks of lethality. So it was nice that they were right at the entrance, but on the other hand, I would prefer for them not to be immediately right at the entrance, because that way I'm not able to get any of the vaal souls. Because if I had killed 2 or 3 packs of monsters before finding the Fjord, then I'd be able to have used vaal haste and vaal smite available, which are both about 25% damage increases, 25% more damage that is. So I would be able to kill them much faster and have it be safer in that regard. But if I were to choose between finding them right away or not finding them until the last place you check in the map, I would obviously much prefer finding them right away, because that way they don't have, you don't have vaal souls, but they don't have lethality stacks. And that's probably more preferable than the other way around. Yeah, anyways, at this point, the map is mostly done. I'm just gonna clear the rest of the map that I haven't explored yet, and hope that on the parts that I have cleared, I didn't miss any rare mobs. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go backtrack a bunch and look for the rare mobs. I have spent like 5 minutes before in one of these maps, after I've cleared it, just looking for the last remaining rare mob, and that is not cool. You had the other ascendancy that lets you see rare mobs on your minimap. Probably won't have that much of a problem, but I am the other ascendancy, though I do not have that luxury. And there we go, that's the reward. So luckily I did not miss a rare mob, so we didn't have to spend an extra couple minutes in this map. So we can move on to the last map. So the last map is this tower map here, and it's pretty similar to the one we just did. It has that 93%, or well, something like a 93% less damage mod on it. But instead of the lethality, it has areas, players in area are 100% delirious. So that makes the mobs do about 30% more damage. So it's kind of like they permanently have 30 stacks of lethality. The good part about that is they're not going to scale past that. So I'm not under as much time pressure to find the Fjord right away and kill them. I can kind of take my time there. But the downside of the Delirious mod versus the Lethality mod is that Delirious also makes the mobs tankier. So for unique mobs, I think it's an 80% damage reduction. So I'm already doing 93% less damage. If you stack on an 83% reduction on top of that, that's basically like a 99% damage reduction. So I'm like doing 1% of the damage I'm regularly doing in this map. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, I am heavily spec'd into damage on this build, so even though I'm only doing 1% of the damage, it still goes relatively quickly. I'm not insta-killing things as I was before. As you can see, like some things they are taking a little bit while to die. But it's not too bad compared to compared to some other builds. Like for example, the I think the Trickster, Blade Trap Trickster, that's pretty popular for doing these maps. They can definitely do this map much safer than I can, because I definitely can die in here to the beard, and they pretty much can't. And some other builds like Pathfinders can't either. If they're built correctly anyway. So if I built myself to be able to tank in here, then I probably could do that as well. But like I said, in this current configuration, I'm stuck for damage. I want to clear these maps fast. I don't want to take like half an hour. Actually, some characters probably take over an hour in here, so I don't want to spend that amount of time. So I've got a lot of damage, and it's not ZHP. I'm like, you know, pretty tanky, but I'm definitely not as tanky as some of these other insanely tanky builds that are doing these maps. So I do want to be careful whenever I get to the beard, because they absolutely can kill me. But until I get there, so these regular mobs, I can pretty much chill until I do find the beard. When I do find the beard, though, again, Adziri is the one I'm most scared of, because if her double flame blast can kill me in a regular map, it can definitely kill me many times over in this map here. So when I do get to the beard, what I'm going to be looking to do is run in there, get to Adziri, pop cooldowns, and try to just burst her down. This is Omniphobia over here. I did say you have to kill every unique mob earlier, but that does not actually apply to unique mobs spawned after the fact. After the map was generated, so like... Uh-oh. I'm gonna have a little bit of a problem. Okay, but I was a bit stuck there. There's this... Okay, I need to kill that invul totem. Yeah, I was a little bit stuck, so it's a good thing I didn't get completely stuck there, because if I got completely stuck and I wasn't in range of the invul totem and I wouldn't be able to kill it, and I can't leap slam or anything because travel skills are disabled in here, maybe that's a brick. Maybe I should like carry a cyclone in my bag so I can kind of get out if that happens. Didn't think of that. Maybe that's actually a good contingency plan. I think I'm gonna get a cyclone in my bag when I get out of this map. So if that ever happens in the future, I'm not completely stuck. Anyways, when I get to Adziri, I'm going to look to walk in, pop cooldowns, and kill her, hopefully, before she's able to do a flame blast. And then once Adziri is dead, I'm going to feel a lot safer, although like some of the stuff still can kill me. I think the Elder Suck could kill me, but I just need to move away from that, and the Cortex guy, his like charge up slam could kill me, but that thing takes like forever. It takes like 10 seconds. Okay, hang on. Let me focus here. Oh my god, I got okay. Trying to walk in, and where I have no idea where Adziri is. So here she is. I wasn't able to kill her instantly, so sad, but yeah, so I was able to kill her instantly, so just to play it safe, I'm gonna try to clear these mobs so I can see when she's casting her double flame blast, because I need to move out of that when she casts it, otherwise it is going to kill her. Where actually? Okay, here she is. Okay, there you go. Adziri's dead, so now I can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. Still have to be a little bit careful, because things can still kill me, but for the most part, I just need to not be dumb, and everything should be fine. Okay, so that is the Shaper down 2. And then it's Elder gone, and then we'll finish off Cortex here. Alright, so the Feared is dead, and that's pretty much the most dangerous part of the map done. So again, the map is pretty much free from this point onwards. and we're already on the last floor, so I'm gonna go ahead and just finish that real quick, and then when we get out, I guess I'll do like a quick, just a quick overview of the character. I'm probably not gonna go into too much detail, otherwise that would take too long. There's the ultimatum there, but unless the map specifically says that you must complete that particular league mechanic, you do not have to do it, so I'm just going to skip the ultimatum, don't want to do it. And then on to the map boss, which is pretty much a joke. So it just takes a while because, I mean, the animations for him to spawn take longer for me to kill him.
I have nothing more to give.
I popped cooldowns there to try to kill her before she would do her animation, but I was just a bit short on the DPS, I guess. Unlucky. That's another like 10 seconds wasted. Right, and there we go. It's just under 7 minutes completion of the map. I think that my fastest time on this map was 6 minutes, so it's 1 minute faster. The difference there being that this time I walked into Adziri and I was not able to kill her instantly. And so that made it take a minute longer, since after I popped the cooldowns, wasn't able to kill her instantly, I had to play it safe, which took about a minute longer than it would have if I had just bursted her and then I could have face tanked the other 4 of the feared. Anyways, on to the character. Let's put this amulet back on. Oops. So, just a quick overview, I guess. So for defense, like I said, I have 4.5 million armor. It gets rid of all the physical mitigation for hits. The 90% all res, which goes down to 89 if I remove the amulet, because that gives me some aura effect. I have this charm here. That's 3% of armor applies to fire, cold, and lightning. So after the damage is reduced from the resistances, 3% of the armor, which with 4.5 million armor, that's it's like 135k 135k armor applying to whatever's left of the LE damage after resistances. So for most small and medium hits, that's going to be pretty much max reduction, so you're not going to be able to really notice those types of hits. There's going to be instantly covered by the 5,500 regen I have. For the big hits, for example, Adziri's double flame blast, which I said I'm really scared of, the way that armor works, the larger the hit versus your armor, the mitigation is not linear. So for something large like an Adziri hit from double flame blast, I'm not going to get maximum reduction from that, and so that's why it definitely can kill me. That's pretty much all I have for defenses. Like I said, it is heavily invested in damage. The defenses are not multi-layered like some of the characters. It's very like 1 layer, maybe 2 layers max. Like just the armor, resist, armor applies to elemental damage, and then for sustain I just have the regen. Oh, and for sustain I also have ES on hit from this Discipline Watcher's Eye, but that's pretty much all I have in terms of defense. So defensively, definitely not as strong as some other characters, and not as strong as even this character itself could be in like a tankier configuration. But now we'll go over the damage and what I've spec'd into damage. So the damage is all coming from the this replica Dream Feather Sword. That last line there, 1% increased attack damage per 450 armor. And with 4.5 million armor, that's actually 10,000% increased attack damage. And this is per sword. So with 2 swords, that's 20,000% increased attack damage. And that's scaling the damage that is coming from Wrath. A level 27 Wrath gives like pretty much 1 to 400, and then a level 34 Smite gives 1 to, well, 1, I say 1, but it's 29. Let's just count it as 1 to about 600. So 400 plus 600, that's 1 to 1,000 lightning damage as base, multiplied by the aura effect, which is about, I have more than 300% aura effect, so that's 1 to 3,000 lightning damage as a base, and then you're multiplying that by 20,000%. And that's actually just pretty pretty much about it for the damage scaling in terms of raw numbers. And then for mechanics, we're using Molten Strike, which fires 4. What is that? Okay, we'll do this tooltip because this tooltip counts your links, whereas if you mouse over the gem, it doesn't. So it fires 9 projectiles. So it's 4 plus the 5 I'm getting from Awakened GMP. So that's 9 projectiles. I have the Nimbus Ring, so all 9 projectiles after they go out, they'll return to me. So if I'm standing next to a boss, the returning projectiles will always hit for sure. So that's 9 guaranteed hits. The outgoing projectiles, they spread out in randomly, so it might not be all 9 projectiles hitting. Let's say like a third of them hits, so that's 3 outgoing projectiles hitting, 9 incoming projectiles hitting, which is 12, and then the melee attack itself does some damage as well. So let's say you're hitting like 13 or 14 times each time you attack with Molten Strike, and each Molten Strike ball on PoB does like 50 million damage, so that's like 500,000 damage in this configuration easily, and I'm not even running any type of totem, I'm not running Berserk, so you could push that past 1 billion easily. I'll just go over the rest of the gear real quickly. This helmet, mirrored helmet, just bunch of aura levels, boosting Vitality, Determination, Wrath, and Discipline. So importantly, I'm boosting Vitality because it's got the regen, and if you see if I take off Vitality, I go from 5.5k regen to just, that's pretty much half my regen Vitality was. And the other half of the regen is coming from a mastery over here. This regenerate 1 life per second for each 1% uncapped fire resistance. And I have 768% uncapped fire resistance, so that's 768 life regen. And then we're multiplying both the vitality and the mastery regen via the guardian node here for the ascendant. It's the auras from your skills grant 3% increased recovery rate of life, mana, and energy shield to you and allies line. So that's 3% per aura, and that is multiplied by your aura effect as well, and I said I have over 300%, so that 3% becomes 10% for each aura I have. And on top of the auras I'm using that are actually functional and either give me damage, give me resist, give me move speed and stuff, I'm also running a level 1 clarity and a level 1 precision that basically are completely useless. Like I could take them off and like I don't need the mana regen, I don't need the precision because I'm resolute technique, but I have these two because they count as an aura and they each give another 10% to that energy shield regeneration. So if you can see, I can take off clarity. I go from 5.5 to so clarity, even though it reserves basically no mana. It reserves only 11 mana. It does take up a socket, which is kind of valuable, but it's like 200. It's like over 200 regen, which I value quite highly. So the amulet I don't really care too much about. It's just a 16% aura effect, eternal struggle. Most of the time this is off for the maps I'm doing anyway, so I really could care less about this amulet. Nimbus is OP. It's like it just doubles damage, especially for Molten Strike. It's just absolutely insane. The original Sin is also pretty much insane. It basically makes it's like another link because you wouldn't have to if you didn't have original Sin, you were doing elemental damage, you would have to be running a elemental penetration, or well, the penetration like fire penetration, lightning penetration, cold penetration, whatever element you're doing. This pretty much makes you not have to run that, as well as chaos damage gives you access to Wither, which is it's basically double damage once you stack it up. It's 15 stacks. Each stack 6% increased damage, so 90% increased damage, which is pretty close to double damage. And we're getting our Wither from that which was Taken Jewel over here. It's a 15% chance to inflict Withered for 2 seconds on hit. And because the Molten Strike is just hitting so many times, it's 15% basically maxes out your Withers. So you're going to permanently have 15 stacks of Withers on every enemy. 6% chance for Frenzy Charge again, because you're hitting so much, that's just perma Frenzy Charge. We have the Iron Reflexes, because we're scaling Determination and the Grace Aura, so Grace is turned into even more armor via the Iron Reflexes, so that's how we get 4.5 million armor. This jewel here is just 24% aura effect. The Seed 5924 gives you 8% aura effect here, 8% aura effect here, 8% aura effect here, so 24% aura effect from a single jewel. I have a triple Discipline Watcher's Eye. I don't think any of the mods on this are necessary per se. You already have a lot of regen, so the energy shield on hit is not necessary, but it's definitely nice, and it definitely allows you to run no regen maps, whereas if you didn't have that mod, that would be quite difficult. The regen rate is nice as, again, we're scaling the regen to have a comfy regen build, and that last line, again, does much of the same thing. Here, the main thing is just 7% reduced mana cost, so I can get my Grace down to a castable mana cost. So right now it's costing 12 mana because I'm at 99% reduced mana. If I was at 100%, then it'd be free. I think that's pretty much it. Mage Blood, Corrupted with Grace. This armor, I have a double overcapped armor piece right here, but I'm not using this for this build, and I'm using this in place of that because as a Scion, I'm not able to get as much cold resist as, for example, Chieftain would be able to. So if I had overcapped cold, it wouldn't really be giving me that much damage. And instead, now I'm getting the global defenses, which gives me a lot of ES. So for an armor stacker, let's put the ammo back on. For an armor stacker, 7k ES. For an armor stacker, if you played armor stackers before, 7k ES is actually quite a lot for an armor stacker. So that's why I'm going with this piece instead of the double overcapped, and I put a regen suffix on it. So at 150 regen multiplied by like the 2 point something that we have is this chest piece is giving over like 300, and the fire resist turns into regen too. So this chest piece alone is giving like probably 500 regen. March of the Legion, double corrupted. So this is just giving us gem level. So our grace is level 34, and our smite is level 34. And then lastly, these gloves, mainly the most important line there is the strike skills target 2 additional nearby enemies. So when I said I'm at like a bit over 500 million damage and I could push that to 1 billion, if there's 3 enemies just stacked really close together, uh, these 2 additional targets, you're essentially hitting 3 times, and then whenever the projectiles return, they're the projectiles, when they return, they're AoE. So if the targets are stacked really closely together, you're essentially tripling your damage. So if I have the Feared and then there's like 2 guys like Chayula and let's say Shaper on top of Atziri, I can burst her down 3 times as fast as if she were alone. And sometimes it's actually a lot safer for them to be really close together because I can just go in and kill them like pretty much instantly versus if they were alone where it would take 3 times as long to kill them. Flasks, as you can see, this is why I'm actually so comparatively squishy compared to tankier builds. I'm not running any elemental flasks at all. It's like they're full damage. So this one is just armor, resists, because I need that to cap resists, attack speed, and then move speed, because in a lot of these maps, they disable your travel skills, so you need a lot of move speed. So I have a Quicksilver, so I can get around the map relatively quickly. And then lastly, I just have a Dying Sun, because it gives fire resistance, which to me is a little bit of damage, and as well as more projectiles from one strike equals more damage as well. I think that's pretty much all the main things. I'm just coming in with a quick edit here after watching. I realized I forgot some stuff, so I'm just messing over all the gems real quick. I have Mark on hit with Sniper's Mark. Blood and Sand is just a bit more area damage for the Moon Strike projectiles because they are AoE, both when outgoing and incoming. And then here's for Aura's Vitality, Determination, Wrath, Discipline. Again, 2 Clarity Precisions, the Defiance banner for links for Moon Strike. It's Multi-Strike, Volatility, Elemental Focus, Elemental Damage with Attacks, and GMP. Here we have Grace, Inspiration, Smite, and Empower. And then we've got the Purity Fire, Purity of Elements, Haste, and Enlighten to make that a little bit cheaper on the mana cost. And then just lastly, forgot to go over some keystones. Zealot's Oath is making the life regeneration that we're scaling apply to ES instead. And we have a lot of ES because we're Chaos Inoculation, so we're immune to the Chaos damage. 2 keystones here. Precise Technique is just 40% more damage. Point Blank just makes the Molten Strike projectiles do more damage because they're not traveling that far. And then I have three voices here. They're all 1 passive voices because run Valdo maps make money, right? Same thing with the cluster jewels with all that Valdo map money. I spent 4 mirrors to craft this cluster jewel, and then I spent 8 mirrors mirroring it 8 times. So I have 8 mirrored cluster jewels because I've got the Valdo monies and I don't know what to do. But yeah, that's pretty much the character. Thanks for watching.